My name is Katri Ratia, that's a Finnish name, I come from Finland.
Okay.
I've been to Switzerland now for 10 years. I came here to do my doctoral studies and ended up staying. No, I had no idea what you can do in religious studies actually. Like my master's, for my master's thesis, I was researching Finnish magical traditions from pre-Christian times, but my major subject was folklore research. This is a bigger subject in Finland. So I had an interest in basically magical rituals, the pre-Christian sort of magical or religious, that's a definitional question, magical or religious tradition in Finland, and especially the sort of the ways to use it, like not as so much as a philosophical or mental construction, but more as a practical life issue. How do beliefs come up in everyday life? I've been teaching ritual studies, so I've been giving seminars. I'm a little bit limited by my language skills. My French is not on the level of teaching in French. So I've been teaching seminars in English, and it little bit seems to limit how many people are willing to, because in a seminar you have to write in English, you have to speak in English, you have to have conversations, and I think it might be a little bit too intimidating for people who are not comfortable with the English skills. But I do believe it's a good way. I think English is anyways important in university level, and it's good to get over your intimidation and shyness. So I've been teaching ritual studies related things. I've been doing a seminar on just like the basic ritual theory, the sort of models for interpreting and explaining ritual. Then I've done a seminar on ethnography, and specifically digital ethnography. This was a little bit inspired by the pandemic, because a lot of ethnographic work had to go online. Like if you couldn't go to the field out, you could continue your research with online communities quite often. So I ended up reading a lot about it. I realized that this is actually really interesting, and it is like there's so much content and material available for cultural studies, anthropology, anything. And then I've had a seminar specifically on food in ritual. This was my latest one. So feasting, fasting as ritual forms, and the specificity or special meaning of certain foods in ritual traditions. That was really cool. That was actually, I learned a lot. I always learn a lot. I make the students make a little study about something, also because I benefit so much from learning about these things. Next spring I'm going to be teaching about vernacular religion. This is also a little bit based on my master's studies at the time. So the concept of non-institutional religion, what it can be, what does it look like in Fribourg and in Switzerland? I mean, both the historical folk religion, and also the layers before Christianity, which of course is so far back in history here in Central Europe. And then the folk Christian traditions, which are often very, very interesting and live, vivid traditions still to this day. And also the sort of alternative holistic spiritualities that are more and more popular nowadays. And even among people who at the same time identify as Christians or as Muslim or as Jewish, the vernacular side of the everyday rituality is I think even often more influential than the institutional and dogmatic side of faith. I tend to go more for functional definitions than essential definitions. I think the essential idea is more sort of categorizing that we have normative ideas. This is magic, this is religion, this is science, this is religion. And it doesn't often make that much sense to use that kind of divisions when you're looking at everyday life, normal people, their choices, their meaning making. So I kind of like these functional definitions. Like, if it looks like religion, it's worth to consider it as religion. If it works like religion, it's definitely worth to look at it as potentially religious. Religion is an exciting subject in that it is really influential in contemporary society. I think influential like it always was, completely same. But we seem to have a general idea, like following the so-called secularization thesis or theories, we seem to have an idea that as modern people, we're not as influenced by religion as the people in the past. Even an idea that modern society as a whole is not as influenced by religious ideas than societies of the past. And I think that it's easy to get confused there. I think it's easy to just overlook religious influences and religious themes because they don't look like the religious themes of the past. Like, it gives me a lot of understanding of how people tend to react, even those people who would like to call themselves rational or modern or non-religious, or and also how human societies tend, like it does become easier to understand or explain certain developments and reactions on a societal level. And especially when we look at politics, especially when we look at even current practices and current events, unfortunately in many problematic parts of the world, these things are dressed in the religious language. They are discussed, like arguments are made on totally religious basis. Arguments that then influence people's life and death.